wanted to cover, and then we'll have more questions, and that is about the smile. This verse, the purport, begins, it's describing, okay, here we go. The Lord is always smiling. The Lord is always smiling. So this aspect of seeing the smile of the Lord, for us, at least for me, because one of the ways to begin to visualize the Lord for neophytes like myself and just beginning, that can't have difficulty in visualizing mentally, is to see nature, which we can actually just see. Flowers, the nature, the beauty, because this is Krishna's smile. Prabhupada says in Srimad Bhagavatam, purport of 1:11:26, what they call beautiful nature is but his smile, and what they call the sweet songs of the birds are but specimens of the whispering voice of the Lord. From a lecture. When you see a flower, you see Krishna smiling. That is the seeing of Krishna smiling. Therefore, the flower should be utilized for Krishna's service. This Krishna consciousness movement is that you remember always Krishna. If you utilize our senses always in the service of the Lord, that is bhakti. The other day, we've all heard, how does it go? Rasoham apsukonteya. Krishna says, I am the taste in water. And Prabhupada, on a number of occasions when he speaks about this, he says, practice seeing this. Practice it. Just don't hear it and then it goes away. And I can confess that most of the time when I take a glass of water, I just drink it. I don't practice, this is Krishna, this is the taste of water, this is Krishna. Prabhupada described that the quenching of your thirst, that's Krishna. But this idea of practice, and in this whole series of verses, we find this term practice again and again. So our practice of visualizing, seeing Krishna begins, I would suggest, with seeing Krishna in the world that we see, and then and hearing Krishna in the name that we can chant and we can hear physically, and that will gradually give rise to being able to actually visualize and see Krishna in our hearts. And that will give rise, or will be accompanied by, a natural attraction. And as that attraction to the Lord matures, it will begin to take the shape of a very specific attraction. And then we start to enter into Raganuga Bhakti, which we must do. We must do. At least we should aspire for it. Of course, we do have the great and causeless mercy of Srila Prabhupada, who encouraged us, and I don't know, Archita, maybe you know the reference, we've heard this, work now, samadhi later, right? I need to look that up, where we used to hear that all the time. And Prabhupada, he stressed that we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do. Yes, we could all retire and go to Vrindavan or Mayapur or wherever and sit down and just try to practice these smarana and so on. We could do that. It would not be, that is, it's not out of line. But our acharyas, especially Srila Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Bhaktivinoda Thakur emphasized, we have to engage in practical service to push on this Krishna consciousness movement. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Acharyas, they will help us. They will move us along. If we give ourselves to this movement, we give ourselves to spreading Krishna consciousness, we give ourselves to the Harinam and the book distribution and the temple development and so on. Not, to say that we don't also chant and hear and so on, but which we must do. But we can also understand that through that surrender, through that giving of ourselves to Prabhupada's mission, that Srila Prabhupada will help us. I wanted to end with, we're all out of time, but in a beautiful statement. It's from a morning walk in 1968 at Stowe Lake. We heard this in Govardhan. And I'll just summarize because I didn't get it printed out. Where Srila Prabhupada describes how other practices, other methods of meditations are very difficult. We cannot concentrate. We're so he said, this one practice, chanting Hare Krishna. And then he begins to describe, just keep doing, and pray for help. His words are so beautiful. I am frail. I am failing, but I am trying. Oh Hara, oh Radha, oh Krishna, please help me. And then he describes just like a mother when the child is trying to learn to walk, will fall down. But the mother encourages and picks the child up and says, go on, keep going. That's help we can be assured of from the smiling Lord, who's always smiling, always smiling. You never see a frown on Krishna's face. Hare Krishna. Thank you. I guess time is up. But many of you are fasting, probably. I'm trying to fast a little bit. I can't do the whole thing, but I'll do something. So we could take a little more time if there's some additional comments, questions on our subject. Yes, Madhurya Ras. Hare Krishna. Is there a microphone we can?
Hare Krishna?
Yes.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Two things that came to mind during your class. The first thing I'd remembered a verse, and I couldn't remember exactly what it was, so I used ChatGPT actually, speaking of. But it says, if you cannot offer physically due to circumstances, Krishna accepts the sincere devotional offering made within the mind. Bhagavad Gita 9:26. So I always thought that was and thing. I was thinking in terms of Ganuga Bhakti. A couple of months back, I don't know if you've noticed, on the subway they have started posting these posters with poems on them.
Yes.
And I'll occasionally look at them, and there was one month that end here, let him find honey where there was once a slaughter, let him enter the lion's cage and find a field of life. Let this be the healing, and if not, let it be. And I was meditating, and I was just thinking it was beautiful, just this idea of like honey and lilacs, and in my mind I was just thinking like it'd be so beautiful, like, Radha Govinda being kind of bathed in honey and, just lilacs thrown at them. And ironically, the next day I came to the temple and they were wearing, I forget exactly, but it was yellow and purple. And I just thought it was so ironic and funny at the same time that I was thinking about the poem, and then there they are wearing yellow and purple, which, honey and lilacs, the
Yeah.
colors. So to your point, we can see Krishna culture and really anywhere if we fix our mind on it.
Yes, yes, yes. That's to be always remember, the fundamental principle of bhakti is to always remember Krishna and never forget him. So trying to see everything in relationship to Krishna and see what's beautiful is all beautiful only as a spark of Krishna's beauty. Any other questions, comments on today's topic? Otherwise, have a wonderful Ekadashi, whether it is Nirjal or Samjal or whatever. Prabhupada, by the way, never mentioned Nirjal Ekadashi. It was hard enough, I guess, for us to follow just the basics of Ekadashi. Not that it's not a good thing to do. In fact, there's evidence that every Ekadashi is meant to be Nirjal for the really advanced. All right. But you do what you can, and at least no grains, no beans, and chant. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna. I think there's some service that was announced this morning of unloading a van. Is that, anyway, whoever's in charge of that can organize it. Haribol, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
So, everyone, probably need like 30 minutes or so until Jagannath gets back here. Then we could unload the van. So, go do something. Try to go back towards the lobby or the sidewalk. Have the parking of the IC. Hare Krishna. phone or that?
Yeah, both. I can shut this off.